Hello. So my name is Liz. I'm CM lead in the video game company FanPlus in Barcelona office, and I'm here to tell you more about community management. So we only have like a bit less than half an hour, and honestly, I don't think that I can really cover all topics about community management. But I would like to share with you my way of working as community manager, CM for short. So you will hear the term CM a lot here, and my philosophy about community management, and especially in the video game industry. I will focus mainly on video game because it is the industry I know the most. I spent 13 years of my life working in community and in the video game industry on many platforms like PC, both mobile, console, and mostly on live games, free-to-play model, and hardcore and middle-core games that have their own specifics in community management. So first, I would like to start something with something that I realize when I talk about my job with other people outside of community management, outside of my company, but also in my own company sometimes. What do you expect from a community manager? What kind of person do you imagine? So, well, based on my experience, CM has its own cliche, such as many people picture a young guy. That's funny because audience and social media often call me dude, sir, he when they ask me question on social media, for example, as they don't know me, of course. So they assume I'm a guy by default. And actually, I think that I know more women community managers than men, but I think that the fact that we always highlight in articles, for example, this guy behind this famous social media account could make us believe that by default, community managers are guys. And when they are highlighted as guys, it's correct, it's true. At least like the first one who opened the account are guys, because what you need to know as well is that we can be many people behind the same account, women and men, or women can take over an account made by a guy and become the same guys. The second cliche, let's say, is a social media expert. So certainly the guy who wrote this casual and cool Burger King post, for example. Someone who is witty. If you see the Sonic answer here, um, with like those kind of mini troll, like someone who is like really funny, is something like we expect also from a community manager. And in any case, we picture someone creative and certainly extrovert. And that's why I put Deadpool here, because for me, like I would like when people are talking about community manager, I think that they are picturing a kind of Deadpool, but maybe a bit younger. So I don't want to disappoint you, but let's find out the truth together. What if I told you that in the in the video game industry, social media content and management are only a part of the CM job? So let me tell you about my own journey as a community manager. So back in 2010, so it's been a while. So I started my journey as a CM almost 13 years ago. I just had my master degrees in theater studies, and I wanted to have some change before eventually becoming a theater teacher or something linked to theater. So I joined a friend of mine who lived in Dublin and already worked in the video game industry. And it was a very original kind of job at this moment. It looked super fun. And I applied to work as a game master on a colorful fantasy MMORPG. So MMORPG is short for massively multiplayer online role-playing games. So what was it to be a game master on an online video game in 2010, on a game that released new updates every week? First, the game master role was not that different from a game master in real life. role play game, for example, with dice and role play and so on. We organized events in game and on the forum. We did moderation on the forum and ensure that all the game rules were followed. Secondly, each week, as I told you, we had new updates, and we needed to check if everything was correct before launching the update publicly. So that's the quality assurance QA part, and we were doing that, a bit of that. So we knew how to report bugs and like everything linked to QA, basically. As I'm French, each time we needed an English news to be translated in French, well, I had to do it from my French players as well. So I was doing also a bit of localization. We also handled all kind of communication, events, updates, news, cash up news. What we call cash up news is because it was a free-to-play model, so we were selling items. So you create news that that go with a product you want to sell as well, and so on. And I was also doing player support. First with the mail method, because yeah, I'm old, and then we adapted with a more practical ticket system. So I know that as well. And finally, we started growing our social media, mostly Facebook and Twitter at the time. And it was way easier at the time to make your platform grow. Like no comparison with today. When I look back, I realize that learning community management with MMORPG was probably the best experience I could have had to really understand what community means. But today, mass distribution brands such as Coca-Cola or M&M's also call their social media follower community. Since Facebook Ascension, the term community appeared more and more everywhere and can mean more or less like followers or fan. But in video games, it's a bit different. In video game, the player is not necessarily a member of the community. To be part of the community, you must be a minimum engaged, a bit more than just simply play or like the game. When a player follows us on social media, it's a start, but it can be so much more intense to be a member of a video game community on a live game than a member of a mass distribution brand community, for example. That also means that the CM on a mass distribution brand like should be different from a CM on a live video game. So how could we define the community in video games? So community members are sharing a common interest. So usually it's a game. It can be more. It's always linked to the game. They also have a social interaction, but for real, like they know each other very well. Some of them are friends. And they have tool place to meet and talk, like in-game chat, forum, now Discord. Back then it didn't exist, so it was a forum. They have role in this mini society because yes, it's a mini society basically, and some of them shine more than others. They can even influence the whole community if they want. So it's better to have those community pillar, as we call them, with us than against us. And they really know that they are a community member, of course. And I had this one also because it reminded me of like as I said, mini society. On some games, we have an economy with a money, a currency in game, and this economy need to be balanced. That's why we have economic designer. And if it's not really well balanced, it can lead to real issue within the community as well, like in real life. So after that, how did we go from game master to community manager? So after 2 years, the term community manager started to appear more and more. So Game Master GM was still used, but it was so generic that a lot of people wanted to specialize. So based on the activity we did and I did before, we all specialized in customer service, quality assurance. Um, we could evolve within the production team and become producer, for example. Some of them joined the localization team, and for me, I was attracted to this new title, like manager, because I really love to entertain players, and I really loved communication. So writing is something I really loved at this moment. So I took this path. Meanwhile, new technologies and new business model and new jobs started to appear. Like social media was mandatory. It's become to be really mandatory, not just an exploration for CM. We wanted to try new things, and for example, I put Google Plus here because back then it was a new thing we needed to try, but we know how it ended. YouTuber and influencer become new jobs, and we started to understand that we might need to collaborate with them at some point. Twitch and live stream started, and we tried our first live. It was a bit painful at the beginning, but it was super fun. We had access to more data. That is always great to understand and improve what we do, especially in social media. And esport was growing. And in video game, we started to realize that it brought a lot of money to some video games companies. So everyone suddenly wanted to have a game that was an esport game. And finally, we had Discord, this user-friendly platform originally developed for gamers that started to replace the good old forum we had. So now let's back to the present. So I'll show you all the function a CM can do in their job description. So depending on the company or the industry, a CM can have one or more roles that I list below. And this list is not complete. So first, the social media manager. It is one of the most visible functions as we are very exposed on social media, that are usually mainstream channels. The social media manager is responsible for social media content, planification, creation, publication, and they will also answer comments on the platform. Then we have the content manager. They are responsible for content that can be published on any company platform, not only social media. They don't have to interact with the audience. They manage the content only, not the people, as the title says here. And we have also the community developer that is with more in the strategy, the plan, the vision than an operational person. Note that community developer can also be community manager, meaning that they have to create the strategy and then they have to do the operational part of it. Then we have the CS agent, the customer service agent, who is responsible to answer a client via private message. So usually via mail, ticket system. It can be sometimes private message on social media. And to be honest, this position is less and less a CM function, as many companies have a CS department or will employ an agency that delivers this service. The influencer manager, so they will focus more on community leader, not only focused on the product, but who are creators. We have also event manager, as they can take care of events, not online event, but all kind of event, real life event. We have the user research part. That is a part I really love personally. For example, when we have to do playtests, survey, interviews of the customer interviews, feedback collection. And all those methods will allow us to get more insight about our audience and how they live their journey with us. And the more we know them, the more we can adapt our product to them and be successful. We have the moderator, so responsible for applying the rules on specific platform. And then we have the esport manager. streamer, and host. So host is like in TV show, or during event, the person who will introduce esport players, for example. And there is another kind of job I didn't put here. It's called caster. And basically, there are people who comment esport match, like for football, for example. And those three last job plus caster are really specific. I put them with dotted line because within 7 different companies in my career, I occupied all those functions listed here, except the three last one. And in big companies, all those functions can be full-time jobs. But in small companies, it's not uncommon that the CM is expected to master different areas close to their initial position, like usually the one listed here. The CM function I think, is very exciting because of that, because our tasks are very diversified, but it also means that we need to be super flexible and never be afraid of work outside of our scope. Some big company also rely on agency or employ a CM as just a coordinator, not just, but because it's still a lot of work, but as a coordinator or project manager who will work with agencies on content creation, client support, moderation, and so on. So, and of course, you can't expect the same thing. For example, for a campaign, from a campaign design and handled by a complete team in an agency, than a campaign designed by a single CM, of course. So this is another interesting question. What is the difference between community managers and marketing specialists? So I use here again some cliche, of course, as a community manager, more casual, behind his desk, maybe closer to customer, maybe more people oriented. And here we have as a marketing specialist, freshly promoted from business school, business oriented, and so on. Actually, the community manager is working on marketing. It's just specialized in community. So they both understand business words. They both understand that they have objectives. They both understand brand love, persona, all those business word like KPI, like everything business oriented. They understand it well. They are not more amateur or volunteers. And I like and I wanted to highlight this because many CMs suffer from low reconnaissance in their company compared to their brother from general marketing in terms of listening or salary, for example. So that's why for me it was really important to just say, hey, they are marketers as well. But what are the specifics of the community marketing then? So first, we are cheap. It is a good thing because that means that we won't spend extra money. Like it's what we call organic marketing. So please don't expect us to generate a lot of awareness because we need budget for that usually. And also we could it's possible that we create an organic buzz, but it's really not easy and it's require a lot of luck for this. So let our colleagues from UA and growth do that part. We are focused on customer retention. For this, we need to engage the customer. But we also make sure that they feel good with us, they have a good experience with our product, and they want to stay with us. And we have many strategies for that. The only issue that is that we can't really measure our impact on retention. We can measure the engagement rate on social media, the level of discussion on our platform, the retention rate with the product. But it's very hard to know, for example, in video games, to know if the players who stay with us in game are staying because of our job or because of the developer job, for example, just because the game is great. Or it can be a combination of both, like because we are working together. But proving that we had an impact is very challenging here. And what are the specifics of the CM in the video game industry? So, especially on a live game with regular updates with new content that we call also a game as a service. As for the industry, we have our clients or players on one side and the product developer on the other side. And the CM is here to help them communicate. When the dev they have a bad news for customer, for example, it's a CM job, or good news as well. It's a CM job. Also, when the customer are not happy about the product, and we need to let the developer know. So the community manager is really the link between the product designer and their client. We translate players' feedback and question in business words for the dev, and we also translate tech industry words in a more popular language for a customer. And it's very important that we maintain this link, because if we break this link, we take the risk of losing contact with our target audience, with our clients, and making a product that in the end wouldn't be adapted to our audience. And the risk is that the product doesn't sell because it fall in something like the audience doesn't want anymore. Here's how I picture a healthy cycle between the dev, the CM, and the player on a live game still. So first, the devs released a new game version. The player will play, and they will provide their feedback. Then the CM will pass on this feedback to the dev. In an ideal world, the dev team will improve the product based on the feedback. Then the community manager will inform the player again, and then the developer will release a new game version, players will play, and so on. This whole communication helps the brand to maintain its link with the audience, and that's why it's super important. It generates retention because the clients feel respected and listened to. But also, the products, as I told you before, end up being more appealing for them. And here is another challenge that we CM face sometimes. Some people assume that the CM, especially in video games, can be a kind of player plus plus, kind of defender of customers' rights, who doesn't really understand the business behind the product and is here just to animate the audience or calm them down only. And that's why I have a kind of issue with the term community, because sometimes the term community is misleading, not working in our favor, because it can be associated with social activity, as if the CM would be a social worker with soft skills like empathy. That is good, but in some mind could be incompatible with a business-oriented mindset. And unfortunately, all of this can lead to CM report and CM feedback not always taken into account by the rest of the team. And this honestly can be catastrophic for the future of the product, because as I said before, we shouldn't break this link. So it's important for me to insist again on the fact that the CM is a professional. They know the game very well. Like, we need to play our game like a lot. They know how to collect and quantify feedback. And if the game team is not convinced and think that the feedback is an opinion of a small handful of players, for example, we can still double check. We can still use those tracks to create more detailed surveys, for example, or check in-game data. And it's just the tracks that we should follow. So in short, I encourage you to listen to your CM, who is. And now I'm checking time. Yes, we still have a little bit of time, because I was afraid, like I was rushing it a bit. I was afraid to not be in the time. So I also prepared you a kind of bonus. So what were my best moments as a CM and why I love my job? So here are my best moments as a CM and what made me very happy as a CM. So the 5 the fifth best moment was that when I could work with streamers. For example, I follow some streamers in my real life as well. So there are some streamers I really like. I really like their work, and I could work with them on some project, and I was like really proud and really happy with that. The fourth top moment is that players are often mad at us. Often, like, they are really very vocal, and we know that. But when they thank us, like, at least for me, like, my heart can really melt. And when I receive like beautiful message, like, because I changed company, and when you leave a job, you also leave the community. And there is something we don't really realize, but we are also community pillar to them. So when we leave, we will miss them. They will miss you as well, and you receive like beautiful message, and it's like something like very valuable for us. Um, I worked on an event where players had to be candidates to a kind of Miss Mr. Universe in game, and it went really, really crazy. And it was one of my best experience because some players did campaign on forum to be elected before the kind of in-game parade we had in game, explaining why we should vote for them. And in the end, they were so involved that after the event, we received letter, like it was not just mail, but like complete letter of candidate who explained us what they should have won because they were the best, because they were so invested, and the role play was just perfect. It was so intense, so real, and no, it was really, really cool. My top best moments, the second one is the first game I worked on. We didn't have in-game content for very high-level players, so we needed a way to keep them in game, so still thinking of retention. And the CM team decided to create manual challenge, meaning that not coded by the dev team, but as game master, we had to go in game, collect item manually from the guild who wanted to participate in the challenge, agree on a date for the challenge, and during the challenge, we could teleport the whole guild in a secret map and a secret dungeon in the map because it was like an open world MMORPG. It was the first MMORPG I worked on. I told you about. We teleported everyone, and then we were going like with some commands in game. We could make some summon, like teleport some monster in the room, and they had to kill all of them before the time end. Like it was a manual dungeon basically, and it was crazy because we could do role play at the same time, and we know that this generated retention. And one of the best moments for me, what is amazing, is how the community in video games really can change life. Like some people can meet in game, got friends, even married, have kids, thanks to a game and thanks to the community. Some people discover a game and start to make video on the game, for example, and they end up being streamers, YouTubers. It can change their career. Some people even play dance game and they became, at the end, professional dancer. So this kind of anecdotes really always like amazed me. And so I still have a little bit of time. So like in conclusion, I could talk really a lot about my job, like for hours. Like I'm really happy that to have had the chance to talk to you today because I really wanted to highlight this job that is complete, fascinated, that is not as easy as it looks. And it's important to stress that the fact that being a CM is not incompatible with being professional. Being passionate and empathic is not incompatible with being professional either. And actually, they are great quality to be a good CM. We know audience like nobody else. We understand them as we have all the context in mind because we are product expert, because we know our product very well, and that also allow us to see if their feedback makes sense or not. And like a CM can really, really help us to make our business more successful if you trust us. So
Thank you,
thank you very
Liz.
much.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. Look, one actually question we can take, and then I'm going to ask you to stay and answer the questions. We got a lot of them. What are the biggest challenges you face as a community manager?
Whew, biggest challenge like with players, or like should I answer now or in comment? Sorry.
You can answer it in comment because we actually need to move on with the
Okay, I
program.
will
Thank
I
you
will
very
do
much for
that.
the presentation. And I want to remind everyone that the Fun Plus is now having the live session directly at their virtual stand. But with
Okay.
that, thank you, Liz. If you can stay and answer some of the
Yeah, I
questions,
will
that would
stay.
be great.
Thank you very much.